That night was a very ordinary evening. There was no argument, no raised voices, just a father and son standing in the familiar kitchen, warm yellow light dishes still on the table. My son was already in his 30s. He was no longer a child. And then, very gently, he asked me a question. I was completely unprepared to answer. He said, "Dad, why does it feel like nothing I do ever makes you proud?" There was no accusation, no anger, just a tired question, as if he had been carrying it inside for a very long time. I am 84 years old. I have lived through war, through loss, through years that people assume are enough to understand everything. I thought I understood how to be a father. But in that moment I stood still, because I realized my son was not asking about work, not about money, not about whether he was successful. He was asking something else, something much deeper. He was asking whether his efforts had ever been enough in my eyes. I am at the end of my life. He is in the middle of his. I have a whole past to look back on. He is still trying to prove his worth every single day. And strangely, it was only then that I truly saw the distance between us. Not the distance of age, but the distance made of things that were never said. I had always believed I was teaching my son to be strong, that praising him too much would make him complacent, that pressure was necessary for him to survive in the real world. I believed that for decades. But hearing that question echo in that quiet kitchen, I suddenly asked myself something I had never dared to consider before. Had I spent my whole life thinking I was teaching my son strength, while actually teaching him that he was never enough? I did not grow up in a family that spoke words of praise. My father never said he was proud of me, not because I failed, but because in my home, people believed praise made a person soft. They believed that if you said good enough too early, a child would stop trying. So I was taught that silence was motivation, that high expectations were love, that pressure was how you prepared someone for a world that shows no mercy. And when I became a father, I carried those beliefs with me, without question. I thought I was doing the right thing. I believed a father's role was to see greater potential in his child, not to be satisfied with what had already been achieved. When my son got high grades, I asked if he could do better next time. When he got promoted, I said it was only the beginning. When he was exhausted, I told him everyone who works gets tired. I rarely said I'm proud of you, because in my mind that meant he might slow down. I always believed that if I did not push him, the world outside would push him harder. And strangely, from where I stood, I thought I was on the right side. I did not think I was cold. I thought I was realistic. I thought I was preparing my son for a difficult life. Looking around, society taught me the same thing. Good parents were strict parents. Loving your child meant not indulging them. Teaching meant pointing out what was still lacking. And for many years, I lived with the comfort of believing I was fulfilling my role. I saw nothing wrong in my silence. I called it discipline. I called it expectation. I called it love, the kind of love of a man who did not know how to speak his emotions. I always thought silence was how you made a child strong. But then my son grew up. He achieved more than I had at his age. A stable job, his own family, a life that from the outside left little to criticize. Yet every time we talked, I noticed he became more cautious. He shared less. He chose his words carefully. He spoke about achievements like reports, not like stories. I told myself it was because he was busy, because that is how grown men are, until I began noticing very small details, the way he looked at me before saying something, the way he quickly changed the subject when my silence stretched too long, the phrases I had repeated for years without ever reconsidering them. Try a little harder. That's still not enough. There are many people out there who are better. I said those things with good intentions. I truly believed that. But I did not realize that each sentence accumulated, not exploding, not provoking rebellion, just slowly wearing him down. The question in the kitchen that night was not a rebellion. It was the result of many years of silent effort. My son did not ask out of anger. He asked out of exhaustion. And for the first time, I clearly saw what I had never seen before. Silence did not make him stronger. Silence made him unsure whether he was ever on the right path. I thought I was teaching him to withstand pressure, but perhaps I was only teaching him to live with never being acknowledged. I thought I was teaching him to move forward, but perhaps I was teaching him that love always comes with conditions, that he had to do better and better just to be worthy of being seen. And standing at this age, looking back at everything, what unsettles me most is not what I said, but what I never said. I thought I was shaping my son to be strong, but perhaps I was only teaching him how to endure. After sitting with myself following that question, I began to realize something very hard to swallow. Society taught me a great deal about how to raise a successful child, but almost nothing about how to raise a child who feels enough. I was taught to prepare my child to face failure, competition, and harshness. I was taught that the world shows no mercy, so parents should not either. And in that world, love was understood as training, as constantly raising the bar, as never saying this is enough out of fear that the child would stop trying. When I was young, love meant helping my child win at life. It meant standing behind him and pushing harder whenever he slowed down. It meant believing that if he was good enough, tough enough, successful enough, he would be fine. But the older I've become, the more I see another world I completely neglected, a world where people can look very strong on the outside while feeling empty on the inside. No one ever told me that a child raised under constant expectations can learn how to strive, but never learn how to rest. No one taught me that my son could achieve many things and still carry the feeling that he had never once reached a point of enough in his father's eyes. I used to think advice was what mattered most. I thought pointing out mistakes was what helped a child move forward. But the more I look back, the more I see that the words left unsaid can weigh far heavier. Saying "I'm proud of you" does not make a child weak. It does not make them stop. It simply tells them that whether they keep going or not, whether they win or lose, they are still seen as a whole human being. It took me nearly a lifetime to understand that my son did not need me to believe he would succeed. He only needed me to believe that he was already enough effort, enough sincerity, enough to deserve love, without having to prove anything more. I once believed pride was a reward, something to be given only when someone reached a clear finish line. Now I understand that pride is not the destination. It is the gaze along the way. It is the way you look at someone and say, "I see what you are carrying," even when you have not arrived anywhere yet. There are things I cannot go back and do differently. I cannot return to my son's 20s to say the words I should have said. I cannot erase the silences that created distance. But I can admit the truth that I confused love with expectation, that I used silence as a tool without realizing it was also a message that saying nothing sometimes says far too much. Now, sitting in this old kitchen, everything is quieter than before, and I understand that some lessons cannot be retaught from the beginning, only named honestly, and some things cannot be fully fixed, only faced and spoken truthfully to oneself. I thought I was teaching my son how to stand firm against the world, but what he may have needed was simply a father standing firmly beside him, saying that he did not need to become anyone else in order to be loved. I am 84 years old now. Time is no longer on my side. There are things in this life that, if they were to be truly repaired, would have needed to begin much earlier. I do not say this to complain, only because when you have gone far enough, you can see more clearly what you no longer have time to redo. And because of that, I do not want to tell you what to do. I only want to leave you with a few questions, not for you to answer right away, just to let them sit there. Is there someone in your life who is trying very hard, but has never heard you say that you are proud of them? It might be your child, your parents, or someone you love, but assume already knows, so you never say it out loud. Are you teaching the people you love to be strong, or are you only teaching them to stay silent about their own emotions? I once believed silence was discipline, strength, the way to help my son stand firm. But some silences do not create strength. They only create empty space, and that space grows over the years, until one day it breaks open as a very small but very heavy question. I do not know what the words "I'm proud of you" mean in your life, but for me, they are words that, if spoken earlier, might have eased so many things. If this story makes you think of someone, share it with them, not to change them, but to remind them that there are ways of loving we may have misunderstood. And if you want, leave a comment. What do the words "I'm proud of you" mean to you in this life?